Episode 84 in the house. TFW podcast. That's Freakin Wrestling. I am Matt, joined by Eshaun and Rhodesia. The good, the bad, the ugly of AEW Full Gear is what we will be diving into on this beautiful Sunday. What's up, folks? How y'all doing?
The good, the bad, the ugly. At first, I thought you were talking about us, and I'm like, well, who's who? And then AEW, there's only one thing I really want to talk about from Full Gear. But we have a show to produce, so let's go.
All right. And that one thing you want to talk about, is that what probably should have been the main event? Is that what people could say is the good, bad, and ugly of professional wrestling? Is that what could be and could go down as one of the best matches in wrestling history? Is that possibly what you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, hey, I'm on y'all guys' time. We can go where you want. If y'all want to start there, we can. If y'all want to start with the real main event, we can start there. Eshaun, you call it. Where should we start when we're talking about Full Gear?
I represent women, you know. I love the women, my sister, my wife, my mom, who's coming to visit me today from Detroit.
Hey,
so in honor of all the women I support, Rhodesia is very passionate about something, so I want to hear it. Go ahead, sis. What you got?
We're talking about what should have been the main event. Let's go. Let's go right to it. Again, we could spend the next 40 minutes talking about this. Y'all know I can't stand gruesome matches. What I saw, I can't even put into words. It was probably the most beautifulest, gruesomest. Okay, remember all that shit we was talking about, how Hangman should have killed him on sight? This makes up for all of that. All of that.
Mm-hmm. So I said last night, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't full of hyperbole when I said it, because I thought about it, and I know I was not. The hyperbole could have been, that was the best match I've ever seen, right, in history of, out of the tens of thousands of matches I watched. So that's the best thing I've ever seen. I don't think you can say that like immediately when something's over. That wasn't where my mind went, though. My mind went to, for what I saw, for what that was. That was the best match I'd ever seen. And when I say for what that is, you can take that however you want to take it. If you want to take it for a death match, if you want to take it for a personal, real life disagreement, if you want to take it for a story thread that makes perfect sense for somebody to come into your home and threaten your entire family and that existence, it was the best thing I had ever seen. And I know for a fact that is how I feel. Still to this day, and I'm going to feel like that until somebody tops it. That was magic. It was beautiful in the craziest way. That is the kind of match, and that's not for everybody. And I understand with the bloodborne diseases that's out there, I can understand somebody just saying, hey, putting blood in your mouth from somebody else's body is way too far. I'm over it. I get that. But for art, that is the perfect match that I would show somebody if they ever ask me, man, why do you like wrestling so much? I would put that match on and say, hey, I understand this may not be for you. Do you like scary movies? Okay, you do. Do you like drama? Okay, you do. Do you like comedy? Okay, you do. All right, just sit down with a
open mind
open, and just watch what these two people do for our enjoyment and the levels they went to tell a story of a guy who will go to the depths of hell to get something out of another guy, and another guy who feels like he is untouchable, and I'm going to go into your home and threaten your family, oh yeah, and your newborn baby. Just keep that in mind while you watch this entire match. And I would just love to hear what they have to say after that. That is how highly I thought. And so on Saturday, I watched an interview with Swerve, and they asked him in the interview, hey, are you excited for the death match? If you guys don't know, Swerve did a lot of death matches in Lucha Underground when he was under the hood, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, well, like, no, I'm not excited for a death match. Like, you can't really get excited for what you're about to put your body through, but I have to switch my mind. I have to go to a different mindset. And once the lights hit, I know I'll be there. When I saw that, when I thought about it, I was like, damn, like, that is true, because we are so used to just violence in pro wrestling, right? Like, and we're going to talk about the Wednesday match also. Just, all right, let's just throw this violence for violence a lot of times. And when he said, like, I have to get into a different mentality and mindset, my thought was like, oh shit, he's right. To really embody the character, to embody the story we're trying to tell, to embody what I'm about to put my body through, that's a different mentality. I didn't think it would be like that, but I was really excited to watch that. After I heard that, I was like, okay, they got something up for this, because they know the type of story this needs to be told. We came on the pod, like Rhodesia said, and was like, man, hold on a second. This guy broke into your home and all you do is put him through a table. And from the jump, Hangman did not even wait for his entrance music. That they already set the tone for me there.
Yep.
You don't see that. You don't see one of your biggest baby faces don't even get an entrance. But that is how much I need to get to this guy. That is how much I'm going to destroy him. I want to kill him with my bare hands. And I thought they did a fantastic job. And then the match was just, like I said, it was beautiful violence, beautiful art. You've been on the Swerve bandwagon the way we have. We've talked about this was the match. I'm glad I was wrong about Hangman going over. I said I wanted to go 1-1, and then you go World's End to do the rubber match. We got what we got last night. What was your thoughts while you were watching that match? And then just where Swerve is right now and in his ascension to the top of AEW.
You know, I'm really surprised you guys said that was like the best match you guys ever seen. I'm not going to discredit that. I just didn't think that when I watched the match. I wasn't thinking about ranking it at the time, right? I just knew it was really great, what I saw. And for me, I agree with everything you said. And the big thing for me was like the story around it, right? Like they really sold it on Dynamite, like, right? Like Heyman he came out and cut the promo that you needed to cut. Like, right? You knew that he was in that zone. 'Cause I said from the beginning, like, I thought that this story would bring the best out of Hangman and out of each other. I thought it was going to take Swerve up another level. I thought it was going to take Hangman up another level. And it has, right? Like, it was a little bit slow. Like, I think in the what needs to be done after Swerve, you know, threw the T-shirt in the baby's crib and tried to suffocate her or whatever he tried to do.
See,
right?
Like merch, man.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but once it got to the point they needed to get to, it got there very, very well. And as you said, like, I knew the match was going to be good when Hangman didn't even wait for his intro. He just, and what I said on the last pod, I'm like, man, this man, like after the, Swerve snuck into the crib, right? Literally snuck into the crib. The next week, Hangman's getting ready for a match, right? He got his gear on. He waited and got ready for he didn't have his gear on. He came out there. He probably ripped his shirt off before he came out, slid right into the ring. Let's get to it. Like, great, because that's what it is. Like, man, look, I'm not waiting for no music. We're not doing like no whole intro. I'm not posing for the camera. It's none of that, bro. It's on site when I see you. That's how I felt. Like, that felt like a real encounter that anybody can feel. Like, right? Like, look, this man invaded my house. He, tried to suffocate my child. Like, bro, it's on. Really, really great. And then let's rewind back a little bit. I love the little intro, with the Swerve, and then, Nana come out there with the and he was hitting that, and they was hitting that so hard, right?
They killed it
so hard. Like, he came out with the whole thing, right? And then they stepped out of the way for Swerve, so he can come out there. He looked around like he's above what's happening. And I like how he's kind of playing off Nana. He's kind of like, I'm kind of above this. Like, he sees him, but it's like almost like he's like a fly, like buzzing around him. And he keeps,
because it's not time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not time for the games. So I love Nana doing the Who's House. It's not time for me to do that. And I also love, too, so you talk about storytelling. And this was for me, like, if I can't really get goosebumps, like, on my body. Like, it feels like my hair grows when I get, like, super excited. I always say that, but I don't get, like, goosebumps. another thing that I thought was really under the radar that was goosebumps worthy for me when you talk about a story was when Hangman put Nana through the table. And Nana tried to get out of it by just doing what he does. I'm gonna just dance and you just gonna like go along with it because that's what I do. Right? I dance and
That's
everybody
all I
just
do.
loves, they
That's all I
like
do,
it,
yeah.
and they think I'm funny, and now like, okay, I'm getting over by it. Like that is whoever helped them put that match together. And I got a feeling that a lot of that stuff came from them too.
Yeah.
Because we got to start giving Hangman props for being what AEW's probably truly embodies as a performer. I think if you look back at like some of AEW's best singles matches, I think Hangman's like in arguably 2 or 3 out of the top like 10 matches of all time.
But bro, like the matches, I mean, they all got good matches, man. We can all sit there, but it's not about matches to me. What I said about bringing somebody as Hangman was like something like this. His level of storytelling in this match was like something he's never done before. Like, and here's the thing, like, I don't think he's really been in a real. I mean, you got the wrestling stories,
yeah,
right?
Punk. He was
like,
in one.
Yeah,
that was a shoot.
In that one. That was a shoot, though, right? Like, imagine the business they could have did. Like, I don't think he's ever really wrestled in something that he had. Because, like, what are they really wrestling about? They're not wrestling for a title. They're not wrestling for a number 1 contender match. No, this is a blood feud, and that's what we got, blood feud, right? He tapped into something, right? He's fighting for himself, his family, his child. Like, and you felt that in the match. I think we got something out of Hangman that we've never gotten before. Just his level of like, I'm losing my word for it, but it just was a different level because I think that, he was fighting for something. He really felt connected to this specific story. And I wonder where they go from here. Like, right? Because Swerve had to choke this man out to keep him down for that 10, right? Like, where we going next?
Hangman. He
where
hung the Hangman.
Now that I can finally gather my thoughts, I'm going to fully break down what we saw last night. And thanks, Matt, for saying the good, bad, and the ugly. And then what we got out of this as far as like a movie. If you like drama, you like comedy, if you like scary. We'll just start with drama. So we already get the beautifulness of him staple gunning his son's finger art on his face. You get the drama out of that. You get the comedy relief from the intro, like you said, when Nana was killing it with the dancers and him dancing right before he got taken down. Then we go and look at scary. Scary is everything else, the glass, all of it. And then the irony.
And that's real glass too.
I laughed though. I one of my emotions of the whole match when the full glass came out, because I'm like, God, please let it be candy corn.
No, that better be some sugar. That better be some sugar.
I don't think it was.
That better be some sugar.
I was like, please let it be candy corn. Matthew was like, no, it's past Halloween. He's like, maybe candy canes. And then the glass came out and all I could do was laugh. And then the irony to wrap it all up. Hangman getting hunged, whatever you want to call it.
Hey,
that was beautiful.
I didn't even peep that. Wow.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. I did for sure. Yeah.
It's beautiful. And y'all know I hate these kind of matches. Y'all know I actually had to walk away. After he drank the blood, I did walk away because I was like, okay, this is like just too much for me. But I had immediately ran back to finish watching the match because I'm like, what I'm watching here is something beautiful.
What that tells you is you don't hate those type of matches. You hate those type of matches when you feel like it's unnecessary.
Okay.
If they would have done that match
on a regular Dynamite, because
I need to take your heavyweight championship from you,
and
you're the king of deathmatch, so I'm going to be a deathmatch wrestler on this show. You'd be like, this ain't it, man. But the story,
I called for it. Yeah,
I said last night, like if I was an emotional person, I would have probably shed a tear during the match. And not because they were like killing themselves, because I really thought how beautiful of art that they're doing. These people are putting their bodies on the line for a story and for our entertainment, and they're doing it flawlessly. To me, it was flawless. I made a note yesterday. I just kind of put it in my notes for the show today, and I just said AEW is so necessary. And as much as I know I will continue to bitch and moan at times about booking decisions, I'm going to talk about one right now to kind of bring it full circle. As much as I'm going to complain about things that I think is common sense that could help elevate them and elongate some of their storylines or characters, and they don't do. But AEW is so necessary because we don't get this at a level like this if it wasn't for AEW. Sure, you can go to an independent show and see this. Sure, you can go to one of the shows and buy a pay-per-view on Fight TV for $10 to see this. But on a national, worldwide scale, we would never get this without AEW. And you got to take the good with the bad. So the bad for me was Wednesday. I was in a legit shoot, irritating mood Wednesday night after that street fight on Dynamite. I'll give you real quick why. Kyle Fletcher threw a table off the stage. Kyle Fletcher should be done for the entire match. A giant who doesn't wrestle on your show just chokeslammed you from the stage through a table. Kyle Fletcher's back up 5 minutes later working the match. To me, that undermines what you're doing. Brian Cage puts Kenny Omega through 2 tables, superplex from inside the ring to outside on the floor. Kenny Omega should be out for the rest of that match. Kenny Omega is back working 3 minutes later. That is undermining the actual legit violence and pain these wrestlers are going through. You're shooting yourself in the foot because you're not going to continue to get reactions because I've seen this already and you come right back. And then the finality of it, Kota Ibushi takes a tombstone through chairs from the inside of the ring to the outside of the ring. He's back up in less than 2 minutes after the good guys win. He's up before Kyle Fletcher is. That is a legit move that you should be stretchered out on. If we're telling the story of Wardlow, where Wardlow hits one power bomb and then the referee completely ends the match, how can you give me that on Wednesday where these guys are legit killing themselves and we're not selling? You're hurting your company and you're setting a really bad precedent for your fan base to what to expect. So I'm irritated. I don't give a damn about MJF's promo now at the end of the show because of what you just gave me. But if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't got what we got last night. So I'm still going to complain about those things, but I understand you can't have one without the other because it's all creative, how you look at it and how you see it. That match for me was worth the price of admission alone. I thought, good luck to anybody trying to top that just in general. To your point, E, where you go from here is interesting. I can't see a third match. I think that was pretty decisive of how he beat him. And now for Swerve, there is nowhere to go but for the World Championship.
But he's not in line. Like, the only thing is, so let me go back to the Dynamite thing, man. Y'all gotta get some shots out there in Chicago, man. I shouldn't let a stinky AEW match ruin your mood like that. Like, I felt the same thing you felt. Like, right? Oh, this is that AEW that we don't like. Right? This is the parts of AEW that we like. That's why when you see what we saw on Saturday night, that's wrestling done right. Cause we talk about like storylines and things in those matches. Cause I'm with Rhodesia. I'm not a blood match person, especially I think at this stage in our life where we kind of
we understand what it feels like.
Yeah. I think it's more so like I understand what the people are putting their bodies through. Right. Right. And a lot of times when you see all this blood and all this stuff, like when it doesn't mean anything, right? When I don't feel anything about it, I'm like, man, this dude is hurting himself on TV for my enjoyment. And like, I don't get why you're doing it. Like, right. Other than you're hurting yourself. But in that match, you got it. Cause like, all of us are parents. Like, there's nothing I would do. I would do whatever I can do in my power, blood, whatever, to get at somebody if I felt like they harmed my family. Right. So there was a story purpose for that match. And yeah, that's what we got. But yeah, that's like the Dynamite, that's shenanigans. I hope they kind of can minimize. But yeah, it's a great show. But I don't know where he goes, man. Like, look, you think about MJF, he's has 8 different storylines going for his championship for 6 months, right? So now Samoa Joe's next, right? We know Wardlow's been talking about him for the past 3 months, right? So he got to get past Joe. He got to get past Wardlow. What I don't want is Swerve to be part of the, I don't know, what is it, the MJF Power Hour? Like this, him to be another thing that he's dealing with on his schedule. No, like Swerve is his own problem. He's not in addition to nothing. He's his own thing.
Would you be satisfied, both of y'all, if he won the international Triple Crown? He being Swerve?
Yes, I would, but I don't know. I mean, granted, we don't even know what matches are Wednesday on Dynamite. I was going to say I wouldn't throw them right in immediately, but that would be huge. But I don't know, like, if that, I don't know if that fits. Why would he care about being in that tournament?
Right.
That's where I'm like, look, like I would. So I told you guys before. I think I said it before. I don't think you guys understood it. Like, if I was a wrestling character, it would be Swerve. Like, he does a lot of things. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, if I'm that character, why would I want to be in that tournament to work that hard? Like, right? Like, I'm already at a level. So my management team should be getting me to the next level without me having to work so hard. For me, I think maybe his next step is Orange Cassidy. Like, maybe they run that back. Like, right? Because like the international championship is arguably like it's their 1B championship right now, especially with how many great title defenses Orange Cassidy's had. I know they had like a brief run, but man, this Swerve is on another level. Hey, let me ask you a question about that tournament. When Eddie Kingston said on 0 Hour that he was putting all his championships on the line, and so they're gonna crown a Triple Crown champion. I'm like, wait a minute, are they introducing another championship? Please tell me it's just a trophy. It's not another championship that they're introduced at the end of this tournament. Please tell me that. Am I hearing this wrong? Understanding it wrong?
So Tony Khan reaffirmed during the scrum last night, they're consolidating all belts into one. So they're consolidating the NJPW Strong Belt. They're consolidating the ROH World Title and the AEW Continental Belt. So it's going to be one belt, but basically in all three promotions. So it's going to be like probably the first inter-promotional title that we've had on a major platform in forever. So really? I'm okay with that. Because when he first said that, I was like, okay, that adds some gravitas to the tournament. I'm like, because whoever wins now is going to be champion. And then I was like, hold on a second. Because when they said like, what did they call it? They said it was the Triple Crown. So now I'm doing the math. I'm like, 3. Where's the third belt? I was like, oh hell, are they doing like another belt for this?
It's another belt.
I'm good with them consolidating it.
So they're gonna have an inter-promotional championship for New Japan and AEW
and ROH
title.
And you want to throw, yep.
ROH.
So I'm 100% okay with that. But it was funny because when you were saying the Triple Crown, I was counting. I was trying to do my Scott Steiner math. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't adding up. In the end, it's going to be the Continental Championship, and I'm so down for that because every time we talk about in sports, even in basketball, you talk about like the world champions, but you're really not the world champions. You're just a champion of that said league. This is actually, minus WWE, you are like a champion of multiple companies. And to me, I like that because that is worldwide. So I'm completely...
And it's sports. And it's sports centric.
That's kind of funky though. So if you got an ROH brand, you don't have an ROH champion, you got a Continental champion. If you're a New Japan, I'm not sure how that pro thing works. I'm not sure that's different from
the Strong Belt.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's different from. But so you don't actually, if it's a promotion, you don't actually have a champion. You got a champion that's kind of affiliated with ROH, AEW. That just seems kind of.
But you have ROH TV championship, right? And we still have that.
You still got the TV. You still have. I mean, you got. I don't give a damn about though, right? I don't give a damn about ROH, and I'll ask you guys about the whole Ronda thing here after we get through.
I don't think we have enough time. I don't think we have enough time for that for today.
We ain't got enough time for it. We're in the back.
We got to watch the Lions play. So.
Hey, look, we got a half hour. But I do think that on paper, if we were looking at this as a shoot sport, you would say like, oh, this is the most prestigious belt. You got to go through an entire tournament that's going to be continuing. He also said like this is going to be a yearly thing at the same time. Which I also think is kind of cool because it's going to lead you right into Wrestle Kingdom. But that also tells me also how much in bed NJPW and AEW. Of course, we know they were in bed because of the Forbidden Door shows. And hey, Billy Goat, shout out to Will Ospreay signing, and now he's all elite. His contract wasn't up to February. So if he's already on a handshake deal or if he's already signed on paper to Tony Khan and AEW, that just shows you how close AEW and NJPW is. I'm good with it. I am looking forward to this tournament, though, because I do think for people who don't watch NJPW and for us that, like, when we cared about the summer tourney, you had to try to watch it at 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I haven't been like that with NJPW for years, but we're going to have kind of our own now tournament that should give us that same type of feeling, those same type of major, huge matches. Tony said, hey, there's going to be no outside interference, so we know it's going to be just 1-1. 1 point for a draw, 3 points for a victory. I am excited to see how this plays out starting this week. Let's talk about the main event. Before we talk about the main event, though, let's talk about the pre-show. I had said, I think I even tweeted it on X. Follow us if you are not. That's F&W. At the end of the pre-show, when they had the shot of Adam Cole kind of looking in disbelief and what am I going to do when MJF is just like, don't let him take my title. I said this is the best cliffhanger of a pre-show that I think I've ever seen. Don't know if it was smart business because your guy in the main event, your top babyface, is being shown going to the hospital at the beginning of your show. I'm sure that didn't impact any buys. I don't think anybody saw that and said, let me not buy it because MJF's not wrestling tonight. But the payoff, I thought it was a whole bunch of bullshit and shenanigans for no reason. Now, I'm the person on the pod that said, I don't care about this build to MJF, Jay White. We know it's going to be a great match. I don't care about the build, though. We know what's going to happen. MJF's going to win and get his belt back. I said that last week. So they added a lot to it. But if you didn't watch the pre-show and you just started Full Gear when the bell rung for the main event, you didn't miss anything. And they did TV. I talk about episodic TV. Yep, I wanted some of that, but I also wanted some type of payoff. And to have MJF work a match where the Guns destroyed his leg, he probably should have been out for weeks the way they put it down on him in that pre-show. And he comes back, he works a match, then he does like some signature spots, like he does a nip up, but then like he can't like throw a punch. And then Adam Cole's out there giving the match away. He can't grab the ring in enough time. He's like, I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? So for all that to happen, and he just beats Jay White. And what the hell does that say for Jay White? Now, you can't beat a one-legged MJF. I don't think they did him any favors either. So what was your guys' kind of thoughts just about how we got to that main event last night and then nothing consequential happening between Cole and MJF?
How we got to there is fun. That was fine. I like that. It was fun. Like you mentioned, if you didn't watch the Zero Dark 30 Hour, then you probably would have been like, what happened here? You really didn't miss anything. But I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm gonna lay out here, and mainly with the Bucks match and Kenny and Jericho, first off, the Kenny match with Young Bucks and Jericho, I didn't watch 1 second of it because I was still in disbelief of what I saw from the death match. Like, I don't know anything that happened in that match, like, at all. So I at least said, let me like sit down and really try to watch this main event because like my mind and my intention isn't here. I just thought it was a good match. And that was it. The only takeaway I have from it was he still did that elbow drop when the table was already busted. I didn't want him to do it. He did it anyways. That was my only like holy shit moment. Other than that, everything else to me either felt like just a simple match, but it's not fair because of what I just saw. Anybody who followed that death match could have kicked rocks, to be honest with you.
MJF is the new Super John Cena. He's new Super Cena. That's what it is. That's what it is. It was a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
Did you say John Cena?
You know, I actually was kind of accepting the shenanigans. I mean, that's just as I knew exactly what was going to happen. He's going to come back by the end. And like, damn, like, but you know what I will say, I really loved the way that Jay White was trying to work the match. I loved like his little heel stuff that he was doing, the taunting that he was doing. Like he has a lot of character. I thought he looked silky smooth in the match. I thought Jay White did a really good job. The match and layout itself, it was kind of wonky, but this is what we've gotten from MJF and his storylines for months now. So I was kind of okay with it, but hey, it was what it was.
Were you okay after the pay-per-view was over? So they signed off, it's over. Okay, there's no double reveal, there's no heel turn, there's no return or anything like that. In that moment, were you okay, or are you saying you were just okay with all the shenanigans leading up to we're signing off on the pay-per-view.
I gotta tell you something. I was ready for the show to be over. I mean, not because like the matches were bad or anything in particular, because I was mad about anyone. That was a long night, man. Like, you know, like the show starts at 6:30, right? I think I got ready for it at 6. So I'm sitting there from 6 to midnight.
Three pre-show matches.
Like, right? I'm sitting there from 6 to midnight watching this thing, man. And you know, that blood feud, because that wasn't the match I came to see. That was the match I told you I was on 10 for. The Hangman Swerve. I mean, there was a lot of energy just expended in that match, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just from start to finish, most of the matches were good. I mean, I don't know if we have time to talk about the ladies, but I think the ladies showed out in their matches.
Yep.
But it just was a long night. It just was a long night. So by the end, I'm glad they didn't have a reveal, because it wasn't something I had to now mentally focus on. But yeah, I mean, just talk about the women. Like, I
talk
think
about
Toni
it.
Storm, I love to see her as champion.
Yep.
Like,
talk about it.
Mariah May came out and gave her flowers, and she was kind of upset. And this was a strange thing, right? We had the Women's World Championship match, right? Now, you would think in the women's division that is their top of the line. That's like number one title for the women. But then you had that triple threat match for the TBS title.
Talk about it.
And them girls showed up and showed out.
Talk about it.
Showed
2 for 2. Hey, Tony Khan, it is okay to book 2 women's matches on the same show, because look what we got. I thought they both exceeded expectations. Well, I'm not gonna say they both exceeded. They to your point, they showed up and showed out. The triple threat match, I was like, salute women. I thought that was fantastic.
No, they exceeded.
I thought
that was
the
beyond
right person
what I
went
thought
over
they were gonna do.
in both of them. And like, everybody has opinions, right? So whatever on that. But I go on social media last night after the show was over, because I really wasn't on much during the show. Because like a lot of times, like, you'll go on during the show and you'll see something that either pisses you off or you don't agree with, and then it kind of like taints what you think you just watched. So like, I'm starting to pull back from like watching the shows and then watching my timeline. I'll still tweet through the shows, but maybe I just won't check like the actual timeline itself. But I saw somebody like, what are we doing here? Like, what is going on with the AEW women's division? Since when is it the wrong thing to put the title on your most over character? Like, what are we talking about? And who knows
why they say that?
Maybe that person was just, you know, you get a lot of pro WWE, anti AEW, vice versa. But it's just like, we complain about that. Now, maybe you're just the biggest Sheeta fan in the world. Even if you're the biggest Sheeta fan in the world, Tony, when she comes on, all eyes are on her. That was the right move. Now we got to see what the follow-up is. I don't want to keep bouncing these titles back and forth. But I thought both women's matches did exactly what it needed to do. You guys got some more of your Sky Blue character change. Like, she got new music. She took the hat off, put the new little crown on. Okay, so now she's telling us kind of where she's at. I just thought it was great.
I do want to spend time talking about both of these matches separately, because I think both of those matches, the women matches, were great. And I don't think they should be clumped in, because like what you just said to Tony, hey, you can have 2 women matches on your show and it'd be just fine. Oh, wow, I put my fingers up and got balloons.
Hey, told you. Got the piece on it.
On the gang sign. That must be the balloon gang sign I just threw up. First, let's start with the...
It don't work for you.
For starters, let's talk about then the women's championship. I want to give Sheeta her flowers, because Sheeta is just so good, so solid in the ring. Just the things that she does. And I had made a note here that when she went for her rope break, she didn't just go with her fingers. She grabbed it for her forearm. Like, it's like the little things like that she does that to me just like, wow, like, bravo to you. You kept that division, you held it down. Of course, we can always bitch and moan about the women's division in AEW, but you held it down and you made that belt still mean something to me. So I am going to give you your flowers. May Toni third reign be better than her second reign, because we all know the last time she had the championship, just how she was an afterthought to me when she was down. What were they called? Not Damage Control. What Outcast. It was just like, and you remember how I felt. One time she came out without even having her belt on, and that pissed me off. So may her third reign be the best reign ever. Now let's go over to the TBS championship. Last 2 episodes ago, I went off about Sky Blue. Right? I did. She completely changed her cadences for me. That match was so good to me that when it comes to triple threats, it can be either really good or really just like clunky because of timing and getting the match up. And I remember thinking that they had the equal amount of triple action and the equal amount of just like solos going back and forth. It was produced very, very well for me. I was fully engaged through that whole match, and it had my full attention the entire time. All three women looked beautiful in the chemistry, and just the thing that Julia and Sky is so young, so young. So you can only imagine where they're gonna go from here.
Rewind 6 months and say, "Hey, Full Gear, TBS triple threat, Stanlander, Sky Blue, Julia Hart." We'd be like, "What?"
How AEW fell off. That's what we probably would have.
And I'll be damned if you look at that match, he was like, "Man, they smoked it. They did. They really did."
You know, Ethan watched that match with me. And he actually was kind of watched a good portion of it. And he's like, it's red versus blue versus purple. He's like, "Daddy, did you know that red and blue makes purple?"
That's so awesome. Look at him. You got a genius over there.
So then I'm like, that's true. Like, hey, you know what? Was that did Chris do that intentionally? Like, wow, okay. But I thought it was a really good match, man. And I was interested, Rhodesia, in how you felt about Sky. Because I think, like, I was telling her, hey, give her some time. Like, it's a slow character change for her. I'm very, very interested to see where she goes with the character, right? She has to look down. I thought she looked phenomenal. I think it's a great look for her. I just need to know what this character is, what's her intention, what's her motivation. I hope we get that from her. Like, right? Like, that's the next stage. Okay, cool. Your look is different, right? Like, but tell me who you are. Why are you at the point right now? Like, what's the next thing?
And what's the story?
Gonna make it believable? Like, yeah, what's you know, how is it gonna be believable? But Julia Hart, man, doing her thing.
So now is she gonna be the new champ? Is she gonna be the new leader of House of Black?
Yeah, right. Kind of
like since she has gold.
I thought about it. Right, I thought of that.
She was on the Scrum too last night. And she just talked about how much she's grown and how when she was the cheerleader, it was interesting to hear her talk about it because she said, in all baby intents and purposes, that like I wasn't ready. Like she's like, I would go out there, I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't have confidence. She's like, I would come back to the back and ask people how it was, and they would just be like, "You'll get it eventually. You'll figure it out eventually." And she was just like, she was lost. So I think part of it for her probably was the character of just being a cheerleader. How do I be that? But then also, how do I work? You know, and she made a comment of, I'm working a ton of local talent, you know, 2-minute matches. And then now I'm in here with real AEW contracted talent that we can build, you know, synergy with. But for her to be 22 years old, right? And just, she's a star, man. Like, just keep going where they're going with her. We know a lot of times AEW doesn't maximize when they get somebody hot. Figure out how to keep her hot. And I think you got something going. But just that quick, I think the women's division's in a really nice spot right now. I really do. I'm gonna ask you guys about Ronda Rousey, but before we kind of just skimmed over the Bucks, Kenny and Jericho's match. Shout out and props to the four of them because, and yes, 3 out of 4 were or still are MVPs, however you want to look at that. But I am sure when they did the fight card and they were like, all right, got to find somebody to follow up this hellacious match of forever death match. Who's going to take that spot? And as much as shit as Chris Jericho gets, I am pretty sure he was like, fuck it, give it to us. We'll figure it out. If there's anybody on this card that can not have that crowd come all the way down just to get them all the way back up for the main event, WWE does that a lot. I think Jericho's like, we can do it. And they did it. The first half of the match, I was not paying attention at all because I'm just like, I don't care.
You're processing what you just saw.
But they did a really nice job. And this is where I talk about when I say stories matter, character matters, emotion matters. The biggest pop of that entire match was when Kenny was going back and forth on who he was.
Oh, I remember that. I saw that. That was toward the end of the match, though, right?
Wasn't no flip, wasn't no powerbomb spot, wasn't no thumbtacks, wasn't none of that. It was, I'm about to hit a knee on one of these people, and the crowd got up for it. That's when you know you got it. That's when you know you're doing it right. So shout out to them, and we'll see where the Bucks go. I do think that this should be a fun thing for them because they've been stagnant to me forever. So maybe if they just become what CM Punk said they were, like children and immature and all that kind of stuff.
Do you agree with them? This is the best version of them?
I think it's absolutely the best. I think it's absolutely the best version as of right now, this moment. Because do any of us want to see them as faces? It's kind of like, not now.
Yeah, because they were much more interesting when they changed their look, right? Changed their look to what it is currently, and they started acting like heels. Because I think even in New Japan, they kind of were playing the obnoxious tag team guys, like right. Yeah. So maybe this is just a more comfortable role for them to be, and why not? Because when I think about it, because you think about them as a tag team, think about that tag match that we had on there, right? Like 3 of the tag teams weren't even regular tag teams in a tag team match. The World Tag Team title match.
Oh, the ladder match.
Yeah, like the tag team champions aren't tag team. They were like, we don't even need a tag a name, right? Yeah. Then you got the Knights of the Black Throne. They're not a team. They got a team name.
They're the Black Kings.
Yeah.
Or the Black Throne.
Black Kings. No, it's the Kings of the Black Throne. You're actually right. It was Kings. The Kings of the Black Throne. Who else is there? So it's a bunch. They were kind of throwing together tag teams in some ways. So they definitely.
And even that match, and that match came on before the death match.
You better say what I want you to say. Say it.
That match was violence just for violence. To me. Like when they made it a ladder match on paper, I'm like, okay, cool, it's a ladder match. But I just felt like it wasn't needed. If you're going to keep the belts on Bill and Starks, just do a straight up one-on-one match and just beat somebody clean.
That division's cold.
You know what I mean? Like,
but first off, I was surprised. Remember I talked about how AEW still surprises me that Ricky Starks and Big Bill still retain. So I didn't think that was happening by a long shot. But I wouldn't have wanted to see them in a singles tag team match. There was no interest there. I actually loved the ladder match. I can appreciate your comment that the ladder match was unneeded, especially after what we saw in the death match. So that's a different point of view of it. But I absolutely love that match. I absolutely want to give the workhorse of the night to Cash Wheeler. That entire match, I felt like was all Cash. Every time he was in the ring, every time he was doing something, I'm like, this dude goes.
Yeah, he goes for it. He goes 100 miles an hour, and if you're there, you're there. If you're not, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
that's really what it feels like. A lot of times,
blew me away. Roosh was number 2.
That's what they do in that company. They if we don't have a story for a match, we're just going to put a bunch of shit in high spots.
But I'd rather have that than Ricky Starks and Big Bill with just another random tag team, because I would have had no interest in it.
I was thinking about after because we don't know where they're going, right? And everything, as much as we may not like this, we know there's a story with it. Yeah, like, so look at Big Bill. When they won, I was like, okay, what? But then when Jericho and Omega won, I was like, that makes sense. I don't know when they're going to cash in for their number one contenders. Say they go at World's End. You'd rather have Omega and Jericho wrestle Big Bill and Starks than anybody else. Like, we don't want to see them against House of Black. We don't want to see them against FTR. Like, that's not the story. That doesn't make sense. What makes sense is, okay, what are we doing now with continue to elevate Starks and evidently Big Bill through Jericho and Omega? So when I saw that, I was like, all right, you got the pass. I'm still not invested in Starks and Big Bill.
Two more thrown together tag teams.
Yeah.
In a tag team match.
So, I mean, so we'll see with that. Ronda Rousey.
But can I mention one more thing before you go to Ronda? Our Black sister. The other Blacks. So we have the House of Black. All the men came up short. Yeah, first off, Buddy taps out to Clyde.
She called him Clyde. Did you peep that? His name is Claudio Castagnoli. She said,
Josh said Clyde.
Like Clyde. I was like,
but you know what it was? In her mind, she was like, I'm not going to mess up Buddy Matthews' name because I called him Buddy Murphy before. So she put all her attention to calling him Buddy Matthews and then called Claudio Clyde. I'm like, who's Clyde?
Cloud.
Anyway,
Cloud, baby.
Cloud. Point is, all the men came up short. a House of Black. So again, that goes back to me like, what are they doing with House of Black? But I digress. Go ahead, talk about our Black sister.
Well, but that's the thing about a ladder match. Gimmick matches in wrestling are used to protect. That's really what gimmick matches are for. They didn't take a pin. So yeah, they didn't take the belt off the rung, off the ladder, but they lose nothing by not winning it. Yeah. I wanted to bring up Ronda Rousey because news comes out Friday night after Collision and Rampage. And I see her, there's a video online of her coming out on Ring of Honor. And I said, please tell me I'm missing something. Can you guys explain to me? Okay, so Tony Khan said on the scrum, she's not under contract anywhere. She's not under contract ROH, AEW. He would love to have her back. And he kind of just told a quick story of, hey, the feud started at an independent show on Thursday or Wednesday night, I think it was, and then Thursday. And then they were like, hey, let's carry over to ROH. So if you want to see it, buy Honor Club. Before I give my thoughts, I have to have your guys' thoughts because none of us have talked about Ronda Rousey showing up in ROH. I don't care who goes first. I'm just excited to hear your guys' thoughts on this whole situation.
I don't know the situation. I didn't watch the video. I don't know in what capacity. I just thought that she was there with her BFF, and that was it. And then when Tony reaffirmed it in the scrum last night, like, no, she's not like down with us. She was just here. We welcome her back anytime. I guess this is good. She's trying to figure out what's out there, what companies are out there, where she will fit in. Because once we found out that she was staying a wrestler and she was going indie, hey, why not? I guess this is par for the course to me. That's all I'll say.
He's got something because he's smiling right now.
And he's ready to go.
And whenever he's smiling and he does the Harlem Shake, he's got something. Floor is yours, sir.
Oh, actually, I don't have anything at all. I don't care.
Well, no, that is something. That is something.
Like it's ROH, man. Like we're not going to be able to see it.
You said it's
First
ROH.
of all, yeah, it's on ROH. We're not going to be able to see it. I'm not paying $10 or whatever it is to go see whatever that was. I didn't want to look. She was at SummerSlam in Detroit. I got up and went to the bathroom and got something to eat during her match. You think I'm going to pay $10 to see her at ROH? No, sir. I'm good. Hey, best of luck to you, sister. Like, I hope you come back and rebound and do something really great that I enjoy. I know what's next. I know it's coming.
Well, so that's my point of what both of you just said. Rhodesia said, I don't even know what you're talking about. Right? Talking about Ronda fucking Rousey. He's like, I ain't paying for that. I was in attendance and I didn't watch her. And if I owned ROH, I would feel differently. ROH is a dead IP right now. It is. You have the opportunity to use Ronda Rousey and you put her on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That doesn't make sense to me in the slightest at all. No, if you have a chance to use her, you use her on your main brand.
For real.
And then if maybe you just say, hey, I can only have her for a weekend. Maybe we don't use her at all then. But to use her for the first time on ROH, Ronda Rousey and Ring of Honor. That is the equivalent. And this is not hyperbole. That is the equivalent to having someone like Becky Lynch available for a weekend. And you say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use her at a house show instead of using her on TV. What logic does that make? Oh, I got Logan Paul for the month of April next year. No, let's not use him at Mania. Let's use him in Indiana the week before Mania at a house show.
It's market testing.
We'll pop a good attendance because the word was the reason why they put her on there was to try to get added subscriptions. Let's stop worrying about Ring of Honor and let's put all of our. And I know we have to. We own it. I get it. But how about we make Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision the biggest, the best shows that we can, and then through that is where we're going to get ROH to elevate. Because if you can't get enough of this, I got this IP over here. Because at this point, ROH is nothing more than what it should have been in the first place, which is AEW developmental. So to have her on there, I thought was just like, what are we doing, man?
Because you can never get another first time.
Mm-mm.
The first time you saw that woman in that company was on a 15-second video clip.
Yes.
That's how people are going to see it. Because anybody going to pay that $10 to see it. They're going to look at that clip. Oh, shit. She was at ROH. Okay. I'm good.
Even your major Ronda fans from WWE.
Anybody paying?
They're going to see that, and they're not going to think to themselves, "Oh my God, I have to go and figure out what ROH is, and then pay $10 to see it." They're going to say, "She went to what?" And they're going to keep scrolling.
I might be the, what would you call it, vocal minority? I think that's the phrase. Honestly, you bring Ronda to AEW Dynamite or Collision, and I don't think the crowd would have accepted her. I'll be completely honest with you. I think they would have completely booed her. As constructed right now. Let's say, for instance, she stays more time in the indies and the rumors going around that she's actually really good. She's figuring out who she is. That's different. But that same time, like, let's say she just showed up in Full Gear.
Okay.
They would boo her. They would boo her. It was a market test. They wanted to see what kind of interest they can get out of there. And she already agreed to, hey, I'm an indie wrestler. I'm going to start back from the beginning. I just added that. I don't know if she said that, but she's an indie wrestler. So that's my assumption I'm making here. I'm going to start from the beginning. I think it was a market test. And I think that if they did put her on AEW TV, she would not have gotten the reception they would have wanted. So maybe not a boo.
My only pushback, she showed up to taping of Collision. It's the same audience.
Hey, you know what? But I'm with you, Rhodesia. I'm with you on that, 100%. Like, they may have booed her. Maybe they need to let her boo her. But
yeah,
you think
maybe.
about from like, oh, we have they announced a signing. Like, we kind of blew past it a little bit. But like, Will, ain't that big of a signing. Like, right? So you think about Ronda Rousey.
You said it's not?
No. And if you think about Ronda Rousey's AEW Elite, yeah, let's think about it. Take outside of like the AEW, the fan thing, right? If you go ask your neighbors, who's Ronda Rousey or who's Will Ospreay, who are they gonna know? They're gonna know Ronda Rousey. Nobody know Will. We've seen Will thousands of times on AEW TV. That's not that big of a signing. He's going from part-time to full-time. Great. But that's a big signing if you get somebody that name. But will it work?
Wow.
I mean, it's not working for Edge either, so it is what it is.
I get.
But
what
we got a
you're
rep
saying.
though, right?
I get what you're saying, but that's a huge signing because WWE wanted Will Ospreay.
Mm-hmm.
For you to be able to have Will Ospreay available for weekly TV, I know what you're saying from a name value perspective.
Part-time to full-time. Thank you.
For sure. Great. But that's a major signing, man. That's
part-time to full-time.
I think we'll talk about this on our next
Instead
episode.
of seeing 2 good matches a year, you're gonna see 4.
Just 4? Working weekly? Just 4 matches? Was that the Sting retirement package? Hey, and shout out to Darby Allin for telling Los Angeles to wake the hell up and give Sting his flowers.
Yes, give him his flowers.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Your farewell tour.
That is what it needs to be. Every place they hit needs to be, this is the last time you're going to see this man live. So I absolutely love that. So then on Wednesday's show, we need to talk about Survivor Series preview.
Yep.
Of course. I also want to discuss Mercedes not being the name last night at Full Gear. And then you made a comment about Edge or Adam Copeland, and you just threw that in there. So we need to talk about that too. Of you evidently your thoughts on this is not working with Adam Copeland in AEW. So let's do that, and then of course whatever we get on Raw, and if we get to know what these matchups are going to be for the AEW tournament, that'd be some good conversation to have. Y'all got anything else before we get up out of here on this Sunday?
Let's the Lions win by 12.
That's what I'm talking about. Leading by the time we get back on here on Wednesday, the Lions could be the #1 seed.
Let's go.
If we win against Chicago and Philly loses, we'll be the #1 seed in the entire conference.
Let's go.
Makes my nipples hard. Love it. All right, well, we out of here then. Thank you guys for listening. Love every single one of you. YouTube, that's Freakin' Wrestling for our full videos. I already talked about X already. Instagram, that's Freakin' Wrestling. Leave us 5-star reviews with some comments. That'll be fantastic. Hit that follow button, and we will talk to you guys on a Wednesday. See you then.